Hey there, I'm Jay Harris, and welcome into this week's Sports Center podcast. Today, I'm joined by our coach, Herm Edwards, and NFL insider, Josina Anderson. Now, this podcast is what we bring you inside the pod to show you the conversations that occur each day as we prepare for Sports Center and we decide which stories we want to bring to you. And our first segment is always the lead. Today, we're starting with Odell Beckham Jr. and his inability to control himself. Is that what we want to call it?
That's a nice way to say it.
Herm, you're Beckham's head coach. What are you doing with this young fella?
Well, I think the one thing you like about this young man, he plays with a lot of emotion and passion, and that's fine. But you have to control it. And once that bubbles over, it affects the football team. It affects decisions that you got to make as a coach. You've got to find a way to temper that. And the only way that I know how to do that, and I say this as a former player, I say this as a former coach, and I say this, I learned this lesson when I was in this kindergarten, to be quite honest. It goes way back to when I was a little guy, I was rambunctious, and I was always talking in class.
No, not you.
Yeah, I was kind of, I had all the answers, kindergarten. Yes, talk, I teach. Hey, don't raise your head, just talk.
Never would have guessed.
No. She looks at me one day, she says, look, she says, I'm taking the graham crackers and the milk away from you.
Not the graham crackers and the milk.
Ooh, okay. Didn't affect me. I kept talking. Next day, keep talking. She comes back the next day. She says, guess what? No nap for you today. No graham crackers, no milk. I went, oh, okay. Kept talking. Third day got me. She says, today, when we go to recess, you stay inside.
Ooh.
And you put your nose on the window and you look outside on the playground and watch everybody else play. So I'm sitting in there, I got my nose on the window. I'm doing like this. She comes back about 10 minutes. I say, I understand now. I get it. Sometimes you have to take the player and bring him over and let him stand by you when his emotions get out of control and say, look, help me to help you. You need to be on the field. You're our best player.
Yeah, it's tough with him to take him out because he is the best player.
It doesn't matter. You got to help the player.
Rein it in.
It's good. You're the keeper of the game when you're a coach of football. The discipline of the team is a responsibility of the head coach. That's one thing that you can control. And when guys are getting a little bit out of kilter and you know it, you go, hey, this guy's got a history. I can't continue to allow this to happen because two things happen when you're coaching. Either you're coaching it or you're allowing it to happen. Mm-hmm. Neither one of those is going to happen on my watch. Stand over here for a while. And then once you cool down, now you can go play.
Okay, Josina, what have you learned from the team and what they think of Odell's failure to control himself?
Well, I want to set the table because I feel like this discussion really started to spark up when we entered into the Giants game against the Redskins. So here's what you were hearing from Victor Cruz. He's learned his lesson. He realizes that there's an external audience out there that includes kids, corporate sponsors. He's got to change his behavior. That's what you heard. You heard people like Rashad Jennings say there's evidence that he has evolved because now the mistakes are not carrying over into plays. Or you heard Landon Collins saying, oh, well, I don't see him kicking the ball in frustration. These are the things that you were hearing before the game against the Redskins. And I want to give Odell a little bit of credit here because the first 3 quarters of that game, you saw him make a concerted effort to go back to the line of scrimmage, try to just keep quiet. Even DRC told him the best way to get under a chippy, kind of cornerback is to just look at him, don't say nothing, and go back to the line of scrimmage. And he was doing that. But when that penalty happened in the 4th quarter, okay, things got lit up against Josh Norman when he got that unsportsmanlike, penalty or what have you. But here's the thing, guys. He came into that 4th quarter with 2 receptions for 44 yards. But then in that 4th quarter, he had 5 more receptions, which took him over the 100. So now fast forward coming into this game Monday night against the Vikings. And what he told Lisa Salters, he said he feels like I'm being bottled up. He didn't like the fact that he was contained for those first 3 quarters. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And he said, I feel like I got to let it out. So then what happened? As soon as Xavier Rhodes pushed him out of bounds in the 2nd quarter on that play, Xavier told me last night, he said, I was just doing my thing. The coaches told me to follow him before the game. I already had my game plan just to be physical with him. It wasn't anything I was really trying to do to get in his mind. But Odell took it personal. I feel like his mentality was kind of already set. You see what I'm saying? And then things kind of unhinged from there. But the question is, again, how much is it affecting the production of the game? Because they didn't have any points at that point. But then you saw the elevation of the energy in that game, too. I'm just trying to show you from Odell's mind kind of also how he's reading it, because there are players in that locker room, like a Rashad Jennings, like a Weston Richburg, like a Marshall Newhouse, who will tell you He's being passionate is not a distraction. The question is, how much did the tone change after he started to act up a little bit more? Now you're seeing guys walk him off the field. You're seeing Eli Manning saying stuff at the podium. You're seeing Ben McAdoo saying stuff. So now is there a little bit of a change where some of the guys are like, this is kind of getting out of control. But I can tell you there's still a segment out in that locker room who are very, supportive of him in terms of what he does Monday through Saturday and whether it's, a distraction or not or Sunday.
I would imagine it's a little easier to whatever he wants to do, to let him do it if he's going over 100 yards. But 3 catches for 23 yards, that ain't going to get it.
Right.
Well, not even over 100 yards. I'll say it again. When a player lacks discipline, it will affect and hurt your football team. When you're a coach, the one thing you have to realize, you're an ambassador for the game. You're the keeper of the game. And when certain things play out on that football field, that represents your organization. That represents your coaching staff as a coach. And the one thing you got to rein this in with the players, hey, look, we're not going to ever beat ourselves because emotionally we can't handle the situation. That's one thing I can handle. And how I do it, you stand over here. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying I'm going to take him out of the game for the whole game, but until he...
But it doesn't sound like he can handle that. It sounds like he's going to feel bottled up again. He's going to feel oppressed. He says everybody's against him.
I want you to be emotional.
I shoot wrong. I do this
no,
wrong.
I want you to be emotional. Look, there was a guy that played for the 76ers basketball team named Allen Iverson. Emotional player. But it never tipped over to the fact that he couldn't function. This guy, when he gets emotional, he doesn't function. Look, we've seen him in games where he emotionally gets wrapped up in the game. He drops balls. Balls that he catches in the warm-ups with one hand only circus catches.
Or gets lost in the route with that interception that happened.
It affects his way of playing. That's what you're trying to save him of. Look, calm down. We want your emotion, but don't let it become so much a part of your game that's all you think about. Can't do it.
All right, Giants 2-2 headed to Lambeau. So I want you to write the ending. OBJ heads to Green Bay and
he plays well. I think he'll play well. I think that he's going to figure this thing out sooner than later, and he needs to. Football fans, players, when you're not playing against this guy, you want to see him play. You want to see him play well. It's good for football. And so I think he's going to realize, you know what? I got to look at me a little bit of this. I can't keep saying I'm the victim. This started last year when he was allowed to get away with it. Should have put a stop to it last year. Should have took him off the field. With that Norman deal, should have took him right off the field. At that moment, take him off the field.
But can I just interject right
Absolutely.
there? Because I want to make a comment about what, again, Rashard Jennings told me even to that. He said, so he gets pushed out of bounds, someone's coming after him outside of the lines of the field to play, and he can't be upset about it. And then I'm just going to also say, and then he also said, when Weston Richburg was ejected last week, are we still talking about Weston? Since that play has been modified for this season, he's the only player to actually be ejected for that rule. And here we are talking about Odell. But of course, then my retort to that was, but, Weston, it's not like this is a pattern of behavior going back to last December when, you guys were playing the Carolina Panthers. So what he's trying to say is that we are putting, as a media, he feels, or some of the teammates feel, putting him under a microscope. Kind of just focusing in the binoculars, because he said, and you could say this, on the sidelines, some of this stuff is not like it's unheard of. Guys get emotional on the.
Happens all the time.
So that's what Odell is saying, y'all. He feels like, to a certain extent, y'all are focusing on me, but what about all these other guys when they get emotional? What about them? I'm not saying that I agree. Right. I'm just telling you the things that I'm hearing. You know what I mean?
Odell, they're not the star. You're the star. You want the attention? That goes along with it. People expect more out of you. Figure it out. You're in New York. Cameras are always on you. When you're playing football, when you're doing whatever you do on the offseason, you love the attention. Well, it works both ways. When you're in the spotlight, you're expected to act a certain way. No one wants to say you shouldn't be an emotional football player. We love that in you. But when it hurts the football team, that's a problem.
2 things. They lost.
Yes.
And his production was subpar. Yeah. I mean, to me, it's the Janet Jackson rule. What have you done for me lately? Right. If he plays a good game, it doesn't matter. If he plays well, it does not.
It doesn't matter. He can have a good game, but they need to win.
Well, that too.
Because he had a good game prior to that, and they lost.
Okay. And he would add to that it has been an adjustment for him, because last year, guess who was not on the field? Victor Cruz, and Sterling Shepard. And so what he would tell me in the locker room, Josina, I'm going longer plays, a lot more time without getting the ball, without being so this is also an adjustment for him. And he did admit 2 weeks ago in the locker room that it's a little bit frustrating. So now he's trying to couple that, with everything that is coming along with the extra eyes. Granted, he's bringing it on himself, but there's a lot. He's young. There's a lot going on.
You can help him that way as a coach, though.
Okay.
You got to get him the ball early, get him some early targets, and get him some easy balls to catch.
Get him
in
Take him out of the outside perimeter, put him in the slot. Last year he was in the slot 26% of the time. This year only 7%. If he's in the slot, they can't roughhouse him off the line of scrimmage. Here's a free release. Now you can get him the ball easier.
Well,
and Eli's not sitting there waiting. Can he get off the jam? And he double covered him. Well, now he can get a free release.
That's good coaching, right? You should charge for that.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Yeah. You sure you want to go back on the sideline?
No, I'm good. I'm doing enough damage right here.